Looking for all the latest tips, tricks, updates of what's going on in the recruiting industry, check out the Digital Recruiter Sunday night newsletter. I am not here to blow up your inbox. I don't have enough time to create an email every single day. I once a week send you impactful, a big thing that I've learned this week or realized from working with hundreds of recruiters, owning an agency myself. I'm in the trenches every day like you are, and I'm sharing everything that I'm seeing every Sunday, from content, from automation, from how to get better clients, how to find candidates quicker, how to grow your team, how to hire people, everything in between. The link is in the comments. Sign up today, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile, Clark Wilcox. It's the first link on my featured section. You can sign up there. It's all free. So you get all the tips, everything that you need, free in your inbox every Sunday night. Sign up today.
All right, Digital Recruiter Podcast, ERE, Las Vegas. We got the head honcho, Joe Lalgee, Wheelers Recruiter. What's up, man?
What is up? Dude, I love the booth.
We have a good time, man.
It's been a great time.
Dude, it's like the booth. We got the setup here at the table. You've been speaking. I've been speaking. I didn't intro you, but you introed me.
That was great.
What's been like the most fun part for you?
Look, I think for me, obviously, so much of the talk is around AI, automation, and it can feel slightly overwhelming at times, or you can have anxiety around, am I going to have a job, or what's my job going to look like? I think the biggest theme that I've taken away is being curious. So being curious with AI, being curious about your job, being curious about what problems you have, other ways to solve it. And I think if you have the mindset of, yeah, this is new technology out, but I'm willing to learn about it, I'm willing to ask questions, I think that in the end, you'll be all right. I wanted to say, anyone who's out there, whether you're agency, internal, HR, whatever you're doing, if you are not curious and you're just saying, hey, I'm just going to try and ride this out, I think you're in trouble, because this isn't like a job board. It's something different. So I think out of this event, the curiosity, and any other piece is just relationships, right? Like me and you meet in real life. That's probably my best moment.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's been an absolute highlight, because we've interacted, we've talked, and we've done the Purple Acorn and everything, but there is like nothing replaces just like meeting in person and being curious about learning here, but also just people that are flocking to your conversation. I did an automation roundtable, and it was just like no one had heard of like LinkedIn automation even and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, I kind of share that, but at the end of the day, I was just hanging out and just like, oh, this is what you're working on, this is what I'm working on, and just like seeing the overlap. And I think some of the validation, I think it's nice for me to be like a family man like yourself that's like working your tail off, but also trying to build like a cool like little like a cool business like that you can be involved in your family, but also still post stuff, but also to be aligned with like your content. It's just like being the realist, obviously in person too. That is cool, because it's like I'm in my little silo in like Columbus, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
And Milwaukee, it's like, are people legit sometimes and all that? And I haven't done one of these recruiting conferences before, and just to see like how, like, I don't know, like how cool people are. I guess sometimes like just like you're like, oh, we're all just like people. We're trying to get better. We're trying to get ahead of the game, but there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like being chill and just like seeking to learn and not trying to sell everyone on stuff all the time goes such a long way.
Yeah.
And it makes it like, it makes a really lasting impression.
Love that. Yeah. I think agency, like I'm agency recruiter, right? So like you grow up in agency, it's definitely competitive. And I'm a competitive person. I mean, we joke sometimes about likes and impressions and dopamine and all this other stuff. I am driven in that way. Like I do get competitive with those things, but I think we're just entering an era of collaboration and just understand, like you said, like, okay, we may have parts of our businesses that are competing. Maybe we're going after the same candidate. Maybe we're selling something similar, but we can still collaborate and we can still support each other. And I think for agency recruiters, I actually think we're in a great position. I just want to say, one of the questions that came up in an AI conversation was, what about passive candidates? What about headhunting? And most of the vendors here that are really heavily designed on AI, they're like, yeah, there's nothing out there right now. So we actually have a massive value, but I don't think we get there by competition. I think we get there by collaboration and partnership and seeking to bring value and lift others up versus cutthroat, like caring so much about what other people are doing. I think we can come together and we can help each other.
There's a lot of that. What I heard here, because I hear, I see a lot of the market's tough, or I can get Rex or whatever. There's corporate recruiters here that are working on a lot of roles.
Yeah.
And they don't leverage automation. They don't understand the messaging. They don't know how to reach the candidate.
Yeah.
But they also are sick of all the pictures that they're getting in the inbox. And I mean, one of the things I've been telling agency recruiters from my clients is like, they're all having problems. Stop pitching you and what you can do and start being more curious and discover. I know these companies, corporate recruiters, they're having problems. What are they?
Exactly.
Find out where their weak spots are. And you might be able to support those right now. Maybe you can't, like whatever that looks like. But be like problem curious.
Exactly. Yeah, problem curious and then wanting to genuinely get to know people. I got a great example of a friend who he set up his own agency. He's got maybe 4 or 5 clients now. He's got them on a monthly retainer. It's a really good business model. And I remember talking to him before he was going to set up. And we were talking about sales. And immediately there was kind of that negative comment. I think it's some trauma in there maybe. Like, oh, I got to do 90 cold calls. I got to knock down 100 doors. The reality of what happened, he's been in the industry for 2 decades. So he's placed a lot of people. He's got trust. He started taking people out to eat. He started taking people out and meeting up in real life and having a real conversation. And then talking about, like you said, what are the problems you're facing? Here are some potential solutions. Maybe it's not in recruiting. Maybe it's a productivity. Maybe it's a tool. Start adding value. And over time, those relationships turn into business. So I think the reason we cold call, the reason we get out there, the reason we create content, a lot of times that's how it should be when you're kind of starting out, and maybe you continue creating content, as you're fulfilling and executing. So then you're not having to manually do a lot of the sales tasks. But the reality is, once you start executing, once you start building networks and relationships, really you should just be able to kind of harvest a lot of business out of those too. And I think coming to events like this is great because, like Clark and I, as agency recruiters, people who are helping out agency recruiters, literally this room was filled with 200, 300 talent acquisition professionals at companies that you could have met with.
Yeah.
You'd have sent out thousands of emails. So sometimes it's just this thinking like, how can we build these relationships strategically?
Think smart. Yeah. Think strategically, think smart. At Aerotech, they always told us like go lunches twice a week. And everyone was like, it was like pulling teeth. But like, they would, and all that. And then I just started doing it. And it worked like crazy well.
Yeah.
And, I've talked about a lot of the podcasts. Like when I learned from the Aerotech men that were hitting contests and all that was, they almost never pitched or sold or like, hey, what recs do you have?
Yeah.
Like during the whole meeting. And then next day on the rec board, there'd be like 5 recs.
Yeah.
Like how'd that happen? Like, oh yeah, they email me after our meeting, like, hey, can you fill these 5 roles for us?
Yeah.
And it was never brought up once in the meeting. And I'd see a lot with recruiters, that automation and content. Why didn't I get a lead? I didn't get a client for this right. You know how long it takes typically to build a relationship in recruiting to get that buy-in? Number one, it's timing. If they have a role open. Number two, they might be using other vendors and they're waiting for you to prove, like you almost have to embed yourself before you get that opportunity, even if it's contingent or fractional or retained or whatever that looks like. Like that should be the vision. That is good business development. That's what Robert Hass are doing, Aerotechs were going. Like we had to go on 500 meetings a year. I mean, if you do 10 to 15 a week, over the year to break 10, 15 accounts was a good year.
Yeah.
So like, I think a lot of the new age recruiters don't understand that is how it works. Like that's what people are doing that are really billing. Like they're meeting for the sake of meeting, whether someone's looking for a job, but they're a VP or whatever, a director, anything else. Like stop expecting a deal after every meeting. It's not realistic.
That's why the KPI was always talk time. That's why talk time's so big because talking builds relationships and really should be listening and asking good questions and being curious. But it's that curiosity, right? If you can be curious in conversations, you learn information, you learn about them, you learn about different opportunities, and then you build the relationship. Content is a great place to accelerate and stay top of mind with awareness, but people buy it from people they know, they like, and they trust. And a lot of the no and the trust, the trust that comes from conversation. It doesn't come from a DM. I mean, it could come from, hey, I've got a problem and I'm creating a piece of content and they see it and you can solve the problem. But a lot of times, trust is over time, right? And it's showing up in those conversations, being persistent, politely persistent, showing that you can show up in a relationship before you can show up with the open rec, especially in this market. Because in this market, you got to understand from a lot of these recruiters' perspective, they are getting hit up by agencies nonstop. So if you want to be one in the inbox, then it's a lottery system. Maybe you're the one in the inbox and you've got some content going out there, and that's an upper level. Maybe you're the one in the inbox and you met somebody in real life, you went out with them, now you set yourself apart from everybody else in the inbox.
Well, and how impactful is it to like scan the little QR code on LinkedIn? You meet in person. Hey, let's connect on LinkedIn.
Exactly.
They go to our page and they see content, all that, and then they're like, wow, okay, like it's legit. So like that in person to LinkedIn funnel is
It's huge.
gold mine.
People actually don't know this a lot about me. Like when I started creating content on LinkedIn 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, I actually had a practice of having 2 conversations with connections. And what I noticed is the more conversations I had with connections, and these are what weren't anything to do with recruiting and business development. It was literally just getting to know people because it was around COVID time. And then I noticed this correlation between real conversation and then likes online because it's like Clark knows me, I know Clark. We're going to support each other. And people underrate that. Like it's not about likes on the screen. When I go and look at the likes, especially when I post personal content, I might get 300 likes, but every single one of those likes is someone I know and I have a relationship with. So I don't like I have followers. I just have a big network as well. And so that network effect plus putting out content that's engaging, I think that's the playbook for the future. You got to do a little bit of everything. Understand that you're going to have real life touch points, whether it's phone, in person, lunch, whatever, then content, and then following up. And it's getting a little bit more creative. Then, hey, I'm going to set up 20 different domains under different email addresses and blast out 8,000 emails. That, if we all do that, then it actually makes the job harder for all of us as well. So you just got to get strategic.
That's been one of the things that, I respect about you is you work your tail off to create content. You've created thousands of videos. Like you have even hundreds in the drafts. Like you create a ton, but you are insane with follow-up. Like you're in the DMs, you're texting people, like everything else. Like you're just like on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the piece where people run a campaign that make a post and they're just like, all right, where's the money? Like, where's the money cloud? Right. But like you're constantly working at it. Like what? But sometimes recruiters are like, how do I make time for that?
Yeah.
Like, what you say?
Look, I think first of all, you gotta. One of the things I noticed when I first got into agency recruiting was every metric was focused on really short-term results. So how many calls did you make in a day? What was your talk time in a day? And then it was like, how many send-outs do you have for the week? And then it was obviously placements and revenue, but it was always like month-based. And I think there is part with content and relationships where we need to start adjusting mindset and go, all right, I'm thinking years or potentially sometimes decades.
Yeah.
And what am I doing to set myself up in 5 years, 10 years by sowing lots of seeds right now? And I think one of the challenges with how much automation we have, with how much and the ease of how it is to create content and do all these things, is relationships aren't easy to be formed, and people's trust is not easy to be gained because there's a lot of scams. So I think adjusting that perspective and going, all right, here are my short-term goals. What am I doing to execute those? But keeping in mind that most of the people in our industry who are the big billers, so I know we all listen to Ben Nina's podcast. Go listen to that podcast. A lot of these stories that are overnight, if you look at their profile, they've been recruiting for 20 years and building relationships, and they were good at it. So if you think you're going to come in and in 6 months or a year, like maybe you do make $1 million because you're a really hard worker and that's great. But even then, if you don't want to burn out, you have to have a little bit of that long-term perspective and understand that I follow up people, but it's because I care. I want to build relationships. And then you see it when we go to an event like this and, it's like 100 people here that I know. That's from online content, but it's also from responding to comments and not not using AI for that.
Comments, the worst. Well, I have the video content king on here, so I got to ask. But I wanted people to know and get the other side of like the BD that like what's up.
Yeah.
Business development, agency, follow up, all that, because that's a lot of the themes of this podcast. But what are the tips? Like with video content, if I'm a recruiter and I
Yeah.
gotta start just like I want to start posting video, what do I gotta know? What should I think about? Like, what's the simple game plan?
Yeah, I think we covered a little bit of this last week, and obviously there's a lot that goes into video. First thing I would do is follow Clark for how to write better, because if you can't write, you can't do scripts, because you got to learn how to write. And what you're learning when you write is what are the words that are going to get people's attention and get them to engage and convert. Then you can apply what you've learned from writing into video scripts. And what I say is focus on the first 3 to 10 seconds for a hook, right? And a hook is, what is the video about? Can you summarize it in a way that's going to create some curiosity? So for example, if I'm making a video for, let's say, hiring managers that are struggling for engineering talent, I might say, hiring engineering talent in 2025 is the most challenging thing you'll face this year as a business. Told them what the video is about, and then introduce yourself. So I say focus on a hook, then introducing yourself, and really then each line in the video just needs to be impactful, no fluff, and you want to try and keep those videos probably when you're first starting out between 30 seconds and a minute. And then you need to practice. And this is the hard piece that I can show you how to do a perfect video, but the execution of a perfect video, it's going to take a while. Just like if you did a cold call and you didn't do a good cold call, you would never, ever advise a junior recruiter never to cold call again. You say, hey, do 100, do 1,000, do 10,000. And hopefully you're learning something each call. Same thing with video. And then we need to stop saying, what is the ROI of this? What is this? Look, the ROI is Mr. Beast, okay? He's a massive YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's opening up businesses. He's getting huge deals. Like, we need to start realizing there's a shift in society. No one's watching Hollywood movies. They're watching influencers online. What can we learn as recruiters? There's value in that. That's where people are at. That's where they're hanging out.
It's how they make buying decisions.
It's how they make buying decisions. How people want to consume. Now, you can put video online. You can send video through DMs. The more video you use and the more people watch it, the more you're able to look at those metrics, the more impact you're going to have. And the biggest thing that I hear from agency recruiters and recruiters in general is, I need to get more phone time, FaceTime. Look, you've got a video online going every single day. You're getting FaceTime. And it's better than phone time sometimes because it's one-way traffic. They're watching you. They're paying attention to you. So those are my tips. Focus on the first 10 seconds with the hook and the credibility, and then just practice, and be okay with failing, just like you were in cold calling, and just commit to it.
Evergreen content. I mean, those are great tips. And I think just having that evergreen content, and think about that, like a hiring manager likes, comments, or views it, guess what feed you're going to pop up in? All their connections at their company and old companies they worked at. I mean, that's what I was telling people. Like, I have clients that I'm still just second-degree connections with. They still haven't accepted my invite because they see my content, booked a call, and we just started working together.
I love that.
And it's just like, you just don't, like, the amount of that. Of like, have people here, I've seen your stuff and all that. I only have like, 20,000, 22,000 followers. Like, nothing crazy. But they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to go viral.
You don't need to go viral. Like, that's it. You don't need to go viral. No, Joel. No, I gave Joel a little bit of a hard time yesterday.
The truth is, like, you do want to go viral, but you want to go viral with the right people.
Yeah.
But it also understand, like, you're probably looking at most, like you said, 15 new clients in a year. That'd be a great year for most of us. So if you only need 15 new clients, why are you chasing after millions of views? You need at least 15 views, right? Okay, you need more, but if you got 10,000 impressions a week with the right people, just do the math. It's 0.0015%. You need to book in and have a call with you, and then you sell them. And this is the big piece. My biggest weak point when I first started in business was I didn't know how to sell. And then over the last 2-3 years, I've learned how to sell really, really well because I've had to depend on it. You do really great content online, you still got to sell. Maybe they're a little warmer, but you still got to sell. So don't think that this is like a bypass from selling. It's just turning calls from cold into warm. And it is easier to sell when it's warm.
But there are a lot more bought in.
Yeah,
there's a lot more goodwill. There's a lot more
they trust you.
Room for error.
Yeah, they like you and they trust you, right?
Yeah.
Probably they don't like me, but they'll like you guys.
They love you. Yeah, they love you. Good. Well, I appreciate you, man. We're gonna do some man, a little bit of bowling, but I know you gotta head out of here because you're back here next week for Unleash.
Unleash.
I do
3
appreciate
days.
you finally coming on the podcast.
Hello,
It's been
man.
a pleasure, man.
It has. I just want to say too, Clark is one of the most genuine value givers. I had 4 people come up to me, all agency recruiters, a couple of internals as well, and they were just like, "Man, Clark was giving me business advice," and that says a lot about you, man. It's that value add. Highly recommend. Just continuing to connect with Clark.
I appreciate that, man. Give me some chills. I appreciate
That's
that.
right,
That's a
man.
nice
That's
compliment.
right.
So I feel the same, man. Dude, the realest recruiter is real. So again, Joel Lalgee, follow him. You're already following him, but if you're not, follow him and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, happy hunting, y'all.
See you guys.